Okay, this one is for you, dear Taurus. Hi, this is Tarot Lumination. That's you, Taurus. This is your mini general report, kind of general spiritual, broad perspective overview for the June 2018 season. If you've been here before, you know the kind of routine. It's the same routine. And this month, it looks like it's going to look as though I'm showing favoritism to Taurus. It's just that Uranus is in Taurus 0 degrees right now, and it's kind of a big deal for the whole planet, but especially for Taurus. And so I feel kind of a responsibility to lay out a couple of things. All the other reports had a little bit of astrobabble in the background, and I just want to add something for you too, Taurus. But I'm also adding an astrodoodle, so that makes it extra special. Please don't everyone else get PO'd at Tarot Illumination. It's just taking care of business here. So for you, Taurus, it's the same thing. For the whole month, there's a list of key dates here that really stood out to Tarot Illumination, and I'm just sharing them with you. Early on, the big fat water trine, very supportive for everybody, including you, Taurus, because it's very harmonious with your earth energy. Also, the big Capricorn Cancer opposition going on early here, taking that big fat grand trine and turning it into a big fat kite. Again, very nutritious for you, Taurus. So, this is not an astrology channel, so that you could take whole reports just to interpret that. Okay, so we're not going to do that here. I'm just pointing out the dates. The next thing is the same big triangles and the big sextile kite thing is happening later in the month too. It's kind of an ongoing pattern throughout the whole month, so it's very supportive for you, Taurus. You might as well take full advantage of it. However, underneath, we have some very serious riptides and undercurrents that are affecting everybody, including you, Taurus. And I'm going to say including you specifically, because you're kind of at the epicenter of this thing. We have an ongoing, there's a big fat T-square here, okay? It's a very stressful alignment between Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus in the middle. It's ongoing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then we get another version of it with the Aquarius, Leo, but with Scorpio in the middle. Very, very challenging, especially for the fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus, including you. And things smooth out a little bit towards the end of the month, but I wanted to do this extra doodle just for you guys, just to point it out. So it's towards the end of the month. It's sort of right towards the end where we get these big hard squares going on between Aquarius, Leo energy, and the Scorpio energy. Okay, just be very aware of that. These are dates towards the end of the month. It's a long, slow buildup and maximum pressure, and then the hangover. Okay, and then very shortly on the tail of this one, we have this. It's not a complete overlap like a full-on grand square, but it's pretty close. That's a lot of pressure for everybody. And I'm just pointing this out for you, Taurus, because it's right here, okay? It's like they're coming at you from here, and from here. So please be aware. Please treat all this as a gift. However stressful this might be, please treat this as a gift, a chance for you to come into radical new awakenings and new awareness, even if it has to be the hard way. Now remember, you've got the big fat. I'm just going to add this in for fun, okay? I'm just going to add this for fun. Where is it? Sorry, excuse me. Oh, I messed it up. I'm sorry, I messed it up. It's supposed to be over here. It's supposed to be this way. Okay. Yeah, it's supposed to be like this over here, okay? So that's how it would look over here. So you have this sweet spot. You have all this lovely green stuff. Forget that one. I mean, maybe there's something there. But basically, you've got this sweet stuff kind of as like a safety net, okay, to protect you. So this is a very sort of simplified crude example of very challenging things happening at the same time as very nutritious things. And I'm just sharing that with you. Okay, Taurus? So make the best of that. Okay? I'm just trying to help, all right? If you need to, write in and we'll sort it out, all right? We'll figure things out. Meanwhile, cards are well shuffled in advance. No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Sorry. I love the cards the way they're painted. And we're just going to go with that. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising, especially if each one is different. With the tarot channels, we all seem to use the same protocols where we break it all up into 12 segments, archetypes, using the astrology, using the zodiac. So tarot illumination isn't any different. And it seems to help. It really, really seems to help. So we're just going to do the same, okay? Now, we're going to use this journey spread based around heart energy. If you think of your heart as having an aura, okay? And at the very center of that is the heart itself, okay? So it's very important from the tarot illumination perspective, which is essentially all about the healing power of love. It's to bring yourself, your egoic waking self, into closest alignment possible with your heart self, your heart center. It's a very physical thing. It's physical. You know it when it happens. And many times you don't know it when it doesn't happen. That's the problem. And that's why people end up hanging out at Tarot Illumination. Because it seems to be like, this is what we do here. Love thyself, okay? So let's get into it. You know, Taurus, with all this new ingress of Uranus and Taurus, you're in for a 7-year journey. Radical new awakenings, new shifts, dramatic, unpredictable events, perhaps shockingly horrific, shockingly amazing. But it's all for your good, all right? Okay, let's get into it. Let's break this up. I'm going to really break that up just like that. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look. Okay, please bring your team in, Team Taurus, all your angels, super guides, whoever. Tarot Illumination is bringing Team Tarot Illumination on board, all the angels and the interns and everybody, all right? So it's a team thing. Just gather around, have fun. Or if you want, you can pretend this is your own private reading. It's up to you. Over here is the heart, core. The heart knows what it needs, knows what it wants, and it does what it has to do, and it prays every day, literally, without you knowing it. Please, please listen to me. Dear Taurus, listen to me. I need you as much as you need me. Thank you very much. Over here, legacy energy. What are you bringing in with you, Taurus? Maybe you're going through a huge, decompression phase, quarantine phase, whatever you want to call it, as we go through the massive gateway period right now between what used to be Uranus and Aries and what is now becoming Uranus and Taurus. The end of a 7-year journey, transitioning now into a 7-year journey going forward. What's that like for you? What are you bringing in with you? Over here, the energy of the ever-present now. You might be going through all sorts of like hypersensory awareness that there are big shifts and changes happening for you. You might be running away, hiding, trying to avoid all that, sticking with the status quo in the present. You're a very fixed sign. It's understandable. And you can all use that status quo as a way to project the future. However, that's a very narrow perspective. And I have a feeling that with Uranus and Taurus, a lot of things are going to, expand for you in radical new ways that could be very, very delightful, like magic at times. And so you might be very, let's say, eager and excited to be very deeply present in the now, but at random moments, absolutely terrified to be in the present and now. Being here means being grounded, present, conscious, and here. You are like the biggest earth sign in that way. However, with all the big shakeups going on with Uranus, who knows what could happen. Over here is where you exercise your power. Over here in the now is where you have your power. That's where you own your power. And the power can be very effectively, let's say, expressed and executed through the healing power of your decisions. What kind of decisions are you going to make to love thyself, dear Taurus? And then, how are you going to do that most effectively? That's literally like a process, a technique, a method, a formula, a trick, whatever you want to call it. Because if you see this as something that can be learned and understood, then you can integrate this into your being, own it at the level of the heart, and then you can grow from there, heal and evolve, loving thyself more and more all the time as a vocation, as a calling. And in so doing, instead of outsourcing your life, if you feel as though everything is happening to you by fate, like, well, that happened and they did this and they did that, and it was obviously, it was fate. I was meant to be run over in that car. I was meant to win at college football. I was meant to be the sweetheart of so and so, even though that they were abusive. I was meant to have no kids. I was meant to give up on college. I was meant to be abused. Whatever it is, all I'm suggesting here is that there is an alternative perspective that will be unfolding soon. And when you own the power, when you stay in the now and you make those loving decisions, love thyself, when we figure out how to do that, then you generate consequence as opposed to living through, let's say, the abdication of your power and living what you might call just fate. So over here, the energy of like, what if? What if? What if you're having a really rough day or a really rough time? And even with all these very nutritious, green, supportive energies out there, you become what's called a victim. You become a victim of all this red stuff. And all sorts of horrible things happen to you. People mess you over, and life messes you over, and it becomes more and more of a struggle, and you fight it, fight it, fight it, and you realize you're starting to feel like you're almost hog-tied. One ankle tied here, another ankle tied here, one wrist tied here, and another wrist tied here. Help me, get me out of this. Okay? It's like the more you fight it, the worse it gets. So it's obviously something we want to understand, so we don't make it worse. This is the energy of prospects and momentum going into the next heartbeat. Over here, circumstantial energy. We're going to look in just a second and get rolling here. And this is like what I would call external energies that are around you. It could be the planets, it could be your environment, your family, your school, your job, whatever it is, your relationships, but it's affecting you, and it's up to you to make the best of it. And you have the Eight of Swords here. So it might be feeling right now that there are so many, let's say, choppy changes going on. To me, all these swords here relate very specifically to any and every issue that is uncomfortable for you in terms of how it feels, how you not more like how it feels, but how you think about it, your perceptions about it all. As these energies start to increase and unfold, especially towards the end of the month, I feel that this is going to build up for you and could be quite challenging and stressful in such a way that you would feel like the surrounding energy is kind of like a maze, like like those big swirls when you see big tropical storms building up and people don't know what to do. They know the danger is there, they know the trouble is there, but they sometimes feel helpless, like it's so big I can't do anything about it. What should I do? I'll just ignore it and hope it doesn't do anything. Well, that's sort of what's happening here. Only my feeling is it's very important to be aware that this stuff is here anyway. It doesn't mean this has to hurt you. It doesn't mean you have to fight it. Just be aware that it's there, okay? You can't I don't feel like you can solve it. If you look at these as challenges and issues that are being brought to the surface for recognition now, as a coming on a big screen, like a news flash on a big screen for you, Taurus, saying, dear Taurus, please be aware, this is a news alert. These are all the issues that are going to be coming to the surface in the near future for you guys. Please be aware. And we're just letting you know. Thank you very much, okay, at the end of the report. It doesn't mean you have to solve each one right now, okay? You just can't turn to a tornado or a hurricane and say, excuse me, back off. It doesn't work that way. Nature is bigger than us. Okay, let's have a look at the core heart energy. Oh, look at that little Five of Cups. So, Taurus, at the very core of you, if there is a part of you, even if it's very, very deeply, that is resonating grief, sorrow, the sense of deep loss, whatever it might be, a pet, a friend, a family, a lover, a spouse, a child, a career, a way of life. It's very important to acknowledge that and understand that this is here. This is not an energy that you want to bottle up or deny or self-medicate. All right, not good. So if the heart is saying to you, dear Taurus, conscious being, however you're conducting yourself in your waking day-to-day life, please be aware that at the very core of you, at your heart center, there is some grieving going on. And this needs to be allowed for in our day-to-day existence. Thank you very much. The grieving might be to anything and everything that has been lost and pain, that leaves pain and sorrow and grief and suffering from the years gone by. Stuff that is gone forever, history. It's water under the bridge. It'll never be recovered. There will always be pain and scars and grief and sorrow associated with whatever this is. But life does move on, and the heart already knows that. The heart already has the little cups over here at the side ready to go whenever the healing is done. We can't expect instantaneous, rapid, miraculous healing here at the moment. This looks to me like long-term progressive healing, where this energy has to be dealt with in a very, very systematic, kind, generous, patient manner. You, Taurus, with yourself, being very, very deeply loving to yourself, knowing that love will prevail. Okay, we know that, and there's a new journey coming up ahead to new lands for you, even if it's psychic or mythical or in your imagination or projected new future. Let's call it that way. It's there for you. So you don't have to worry, but please do not bury this. The heart is saying, I need to grieve. I need to be healed. I want you to acknowledge my pain and my sorrow and my loss. In other words, give me a big hug and let's have a good cry. Okay? Doesn't matter whether you're a big hunky jock or whether you're a sensitive female or something in between. This needs to happen, okay? What are you bringing in with you, Taurus? Okay, Queen of Cups. More cups. More cups. So with the Queen of Cups here, my feeling is that, you know, setting aside the Five of Cups here, you're kind of coming in fully aware that the main, like, core theme here, it's not just with you, but it's like with Tarot Lumination. It's almost like you wouldn't be here on this Tarot Lumination channel or looking at this as your own personal private reading unless you felt and knew that the core essence of what this is all about is love and healing, especially bringing the healing power of love into your life from up above, okay? And it's coming in like, you know this, I know this is what it's about, but I just don't know, like, the terms and conditions, the circumstances, the curriculum, the direction where we're going, or quite where I've come from. I do have a lot to offer, and I'm very willing to share all this. It's almost like you're Taurus coming in to a reading and saying, listen, I do have so much love to share, and I have not stumbled upon this. This is something that I have worked for. I have earned. This is as love does. There's a lot of tough lessons that have gone in to being the person who is in front of Tarot Illumination right now as the Taurian soul, carrying all this love, all this beautiful, beautiful love energy. And the question is, what do we do with this now? And that's probably why you're here. It's like a big lingering question. There's no immediate answer, but it's something that we can address over the long term. Okay, Taurus, don't you worry. Tarot Illumination is here. What are you doing? What's happening right now? If this is the energy of the present and the now, as opposed to your status quo or your expectations of the future, or where you've come from, or your deep history. What about the now? Okay. I am so relieved to see this. So with the sun here, this is an indication that you know perfectly well what's going on deep inside of you. You know that there are elements in your life and world that constitute deep pain, deep grief, deep sorrow, deep wounding of the heart and soul that are like scars, scars that last forever, and they are there. However, you also know that this is not the end of the journey. You are coming in fully loaded, fully armed, fully to capacity with all the love that you need and more, okay? So that puts you in a very, very strong position in the present, in the now. It's like, despite everything that we just talked about here, and despite that Uranus is at 0 degrees Taurus right now, and it's just the opening of the curtains to this brand new 7-year journey, you're coming in fully present, conscious, and here, and completely lit up and radiating. Like, it's almost like, finally, this is something that I've been waiting for my whole life. And because the Uranus journey is about an 84-year journey, this is probably a once in a lifetime experience for you guys, Taurus. So please, it looks to me like somewhere inside of you, you understand this. You recognize the moment here, right now, here in June 2018 is a pivotal moment in your life, the whole of your life. Okay? It's so pivotal. It's so profound. It's never probably going to happen again in your lifetime unless you were born just now and you lived to at least 85 or 86 or 88 or 90 years old from last month. Okay, so this is a once in a lifetime thing. This is very big news, and looks to me like you're basically, I'm ready for it. I am ready for it. Bring it on. I expect nothing but the best out of this. I'm going to go for it. Yes, I know I have my status quo issues. Yes, I know I have my fears and expectations of the future. I know I have potential for awesome spiritual awakenings and all that. And yes, I know I have some serious grief that is going to have to be healed from the past. But I'm not going to let any of that stuff stop me. We are going forward here. So I'm very happy to see this for you, Taurus. What about the healing power of your decisions in this energy? It's almost like you can't go wrong as long as you maintain that posture in the now. So with your, like, look at this. Look at this. Look, Taurus, you've got the 10 of Pentacles. You could like claim it. It's almost like you could officially look in the mirror or write yourself an award certificate telling yourself that, I have been through the wars. I have been through hell and back. I have worn my armor and I have served my time. I have been through the most brutal battles and I have already gone into retirement and I am effectively a vet now, and you're coming from this position of settlement in terms of realization that you have the evidence of love around you as like an incentive to make decisions that encourage you to keep doing whatever it is you've been doing in your, let's say, spiritual growth, spiritual pathways, to keep going, because certain parts of your formulas and ways of being have been learned the hard way. It's like these are values and gifts and talents that you already own, that you can use as a very solid platform in the whole of your life, in every single aspect of your life, from which you can make decisions where always the ultimate criteria for the decision is, what do I need right now for me? What is best for me? What is the most loving thing I can do for me right now? Because that's the most important thing I can do for others. Because without that, without filling my cup first, like I've learned how to do here, I can't help anybody else. All I do is diminish myself. I diminish my capacity to love and be loved. So you know that. Somehow or other, you figured it out, probably the hard way. And now you can take off your armor and you can enjoy some of the good life, knowing that the most effective types of decisions that you can make is anything that fosters more love. This is like having a really big bag of garden seeds that you have earned. And now the next step going forward in your new life journey is planting these seeds in new ways to grow even more love, even more evidence of love. Grow a vineyard, grow a freaking orchard from this stuff. This might be just one little bag of seeds, but it's worth a fortune when it's planted right and nurtured properly. And look at what it does. Look how much bounty it delivers, not just for yourself, but for your loved ones. Love breeds love, okay? Love fosters love, and this is the evidence, okay? So you know that going forward. So the question is, it's like having a lot of power already. And then how do you keep that going? With great power comes great responsibility. With great wealth comes great responsibility. So, and I'm talking about spiritual wealth here, love in the heart. I'm not talking about the size of your wallet or your career or anything. I'm talking about the true wealth inside of you. How do you keep that going when you're already optimized or when you're already optimizing? Remembering, of course, let's not forget that a lot of what the decisions are here are for your own benefit, okay? Your own self-loving and your own self-healing, because you may have neglected this much more than you're aware, even though you've done a good job here. Let's have a look. So how do you keep going? Okay, with the death card here, my feeling is that this is very closely associated with Jupiter and Scorpio, okay? The energy here. So I'm going to go back to this little doodle for you, Taurus. I know I'm spoiling you guys, and other reports are not getting the luxury of this little, I mean, it's not a luxury. It's like, it's pretty insane, this thing. But what I'm sensing here is to please allow that in the June period, you're well prepared, and you know, it's almost like you know what to expect, but you also know, you're fully aware that huge amounts of transformational healing are going to occur anyway, on top of your capacities to love thyself already. And I associate this card here, death, with Jupiter and Scorpio right now. And for this particular month, let me just double check here. Jupiter in Scorpio is still retrograde. Hold on, let me just double check. Yes, it is still retrograde for the whole month. So it means having to look inward and understand that it'll take a lot of introspection, especially as you might learn in very significant relationship dynamics, because Jupiter in Scorpio is sitting right opposite you in your 7th house. Okay, so it's an understanding that deep transformational experiences are going to come to you through the dynamic of one-on-one relationship. Think of it as spouse, marriage partner, engagement, live-in boyfriends, live-in girlfriends, business partners, deep cherished loved ones, even a pet. Okay, and understand that they are a vital component in your evolution, and your evolution from here onwards is going to be very transformational. Think of it as transformational healing, transformational vibrational energy healing. Okay, especially because of the Uranus energy. I think the Uranus energy in Taurus is very, very much to do with high frequency resonance, vibrational type energies. And when you bring in the healing power of love as represented by Jupiter and Scorpio over here, and then we have all these stressful angles piling up, to me it's an indication that you're going to become vividly aware of the concept, maybe not the experience yet, but becoming aware of the concept of what we were talking about here. Think of this as the news alert. Like here's a list of all the things that are coming up on the news that is building up in the radical shifts coming your way. And you're realizing this is going to require deep soul level transformation to basically go from here to here, and so that the journey can continue through July. So consequently, what does it deliver? Okay, again, I feel this is very much to do with power. With great power comes great responsibility. I think we're going through a gateway period where it's going to become more and more evident to you in your life, in your personal life, possibly as most vividly reflected to you by your significant others and any of the extreme challenges that might occur between yourself and your significant others, to the point where the whole purpose of this thing is to bring you into your power, bring you into a position of full power, full, let's say, complete dominion of self over self, absolute knowing of an absolute knowing of your own unique identity that does not have to be sublimated or demeaned in order to accommodate others who can't handle you. If they can't handle you, that's their loss, okay? This is, to me, very good news, but it's also an indication that as you become more and more into your own power, it's very important to be aware of how much power there is, okay? This is going to be a very, very transformational, very empowering journey for you. You know, if you want to, you can think of this as a 7-year projection. I wouldn't do that all the time because this is just a little June report. But I'm seeing broad, very, very broad signals coming out here. And we've got very powerful cards, okay? Very, very strong, powerful cards here. So let's have a look. This is taking a long time, this reading. Sorry, Taurus, I didn't mean to. What happens if you're messing up, okay? It's like you lose the fight, you lose the right, you lose your fights, you lose your rights, you lose your sense of inspiration and direction, your sense of truth, and alignment with, let's say, core truths in life, and you can end up becoming very bombastic and very, let's say, radical and almost hostile. Think of Mars and Aquarius, uh, you know, pushing on you very hard in a very, very challenging angle. If you're not in your power here, if you're not in the zone, you could easily uh, backlash, and all this good energy, the same energy, when you flip that, it becomes very toxic. Because it's energy. Energy is what it is. So it's just a question of energy flows where attention goes. So if you're not paying attention here, and all this power is being allowed to just happen, you know, without any authority or control or mastery, then it can be really, really dangerous to yourself and others. You could easily cut yourself through your own words. You could easily cut others. Others could easily cut you from just one false move. Our words, our thoughts, our things, you know, we have to be extremely aware of that. So when you are aware of it and you are in the zone, you get to a point where you have right is on your side. In other words, your subjective truth is very closely aligned with universal truths, and there's no apologies for that. When you speak the truth, you speak the truth. You're not speaking your truth, which might be deeply biased or unsubstantiated. This would be the voice of absolute truth. So that's good. That's unequivocal. Nobody can harm you. Okay, prospects. Okay. Please understand, this looks like a long-term project. This looks like a long-term investment program, and it's going to be a lot of work. Okay, what it looks like here for me for June is an understanding that it's very nutritious because you've got all this good stuff going on. Okay, but this is extremely challenging towards the end of the month. There are other versions of this choppy stuff going on. But in general, what this means here is that there's a lot of pressure for big change, and you're going to deal with it. You're going to be fine because you already know what's supposed to happen and how to deal with it because of what you've learned. But it is also an understanding that it is a long-term investment of self every day, doing acts of love, investing in yourself, love thyself as a daily practice, one day at a time, continuously investing in yourself. And anything and everything that appears to be a challenge is what has to be worked on here. You know, this is work. This is a challenge. There's a challenge for him to do his work on here. He has to carve out this stuff and do it very accurately and then keep doing it in a very, very loving way. That's what you're going to be doing here. So it is a process. It is a program. It's a long-term, self-loving investment program. That's how the story looks here from the Tarot Lumination perspective. I hope I didn't go on too long. I hope I didn't stress you out or confuse you. Please watch for your sun, moon, and rising. You know, do the thing where you watch for your significant others. Cross-watching. Yeah, have fun. Okay, Taurus, thank you so much for visiting Tarot Lumination. I love doing this for you guys. I really do. Thank you so, so much. I just want to tidy it up a little. There we go. All right, bye.